Hello, welcome everybody. Started this live, so I'll just share this with others. I hope everyone's doing good. Today, Saturday, I'm only on for a bit. I'm not going to spend too long on here, but yes, I thought I should just join this live, see how everyone's doing, and thank you for the like, and really talk about the importance of having foundation in Advaita. I feel like yesterday I didn't really get to expand upon it or really explain what we were doing when we were reacting to those pseudo non-dual talks. Now, for me, there's a few things. One, when you have a philosophical foundation, when you have knowledge that is based on years of contemplation, years of discovery, or centuries actually, millennia of discussion and debate, that type of knowledge is really necessary because it builds this solid foundation where you know that you can experience something from that knowledge. Now, when you take that knowledge away, when you say that there is no need for spirituality, there's no need for meditation, no need for scriptures, no need for satsang, no need for uh, serving others like seva. When we take away all those things, we are left with really nothing. And when you're left with nothing, it's idle. There's n- there's nothing to hold it together. The glue has disappeared. So when you get rid of the glue that holds everything together, what happens? Nothing stays up. So downstairs, I have this foam thing where I put on the corner of the um, aisle in the middle, the island. And when my niece comes round, she sometimes bashes her head um, on the corner, and she hurts herself. So we got this foam thing, and basically it's double-sided glue. Now, if I didn't put that glue on, the foam pad will come off. But because I put the sticky tape on, it holds together. It does a job that is necessary. Hi, Martin. Good to see you too. Um, so having that foundation is complete. So you need the glue of knowledge, of experience, of certain practices to help you in non-duality. Now, if you think about what non-duality means, it means that there is not two. So if there's no two, then how can we conceptually accept this? Because that is the difficulty, the conceptual understanding. Because without the conceptual understanding, we will not be able to develop further. So, in order to get the conceptual understanding, there's the method of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. So, Shravana is when you listen to the message. Manana is when you believe and trust the message you've heard. That means that it's going to go through testing. It's going to go through experimenting. It's going to go through. You're gonna you're gonna have to doubt it. You're gonna have to question it. You're gonna have to really, really put it through a rigorous process of just understanding it. Really. So then you have to believe in it. Yeah, you have to trust in it. Trust in that process through inquiry. And then there's nididhyasana where you practice it. So there's no point me saying that, oh yeah, I believe in oneness. I have to practice that oneness. I have to first understand that everything is one. So everything has a shared being, everything is made of that formless awareness. And that formless awareness is a shared experience that everybody has, whether they know it or not. Shravana, I heard it. Manana, I'm now going to trust it. I'm going to trust it how? I'm going to first question, is it in the scriptures? Yes, it is. It's backed by the scriptures. Is it backed by gurus and mentors that we have today, the sages, the rishis? Yes, it is. Third, is it possible that it can be scientifically proven? This is a third one that we can apply with Advaita Vedanta. Yes, it can be, because consciousness studies is suggesting that what the Upanishads has said is remarkably aligned with today's understanding of science. So we understand, so it goes through that testing. Then I have to experience this. So experiencing meaning that I'm going to practice feeling that oneness. So when I see another person and another thing, am I feeling that connection? Am I seeing it as one? Am I seeing it as my true myself, my true self? Am I actually feeling this? Am I actually experiencing this? Wherever I go, when I see that tree that's over there, am I feeling connected with it? That's something you can do. And not only conceptually, but you can actually feel the oneness, because you understand that everything is made up of that same substance that we call Brahman, Nirgun Brahman. It's everything is attributeless. So with that, we accept the world as it is, as a relative reality. It's beautiful in its relativeness, in its transactional nature. It's wonderful. And at the same time, we know there's something beyond that, which is our formless awareness. And that is the ultimate level. On the ultimate level, nothing else exists, but on the relative level, everything exists as this. Now, that's Advaita Vedanta. That is non duality. What the Neo-Advaitas say, or the pseudo non dual people say, is that there's simply this. And they'll give you several bypassing ways to not address the current issues that you have. If you have anxiety, traditional Advaita and non-duality will give you a process. They will give you foundational text to say, well, why are you worried? And this is a reason for you not to be worried. And they'll give you proper reasons. They give you a method and a practice, which is really important. Then at the same time, if you look at what the Neo-Advaitas say, they'll say, well, there is no mind, there's no anxiety, therefore there's just this. But which way are you going to, but what way are you going to feel more comfortable with? Yes, initially, the Neo-Advaita way and the pseudo non-duality way is very appealing. You completely ignore that you have a problem. Yeah, you have no mind. If I have no mind, that means there's no problem, right? And it gives you this false sense of security, a false sense of, oh yeah, I've got over this. Oh yeah, I've transcended my suffering. But actually, all you're doing is repressing. And guess what happens eventually? That repression is gonna grow. It's gonna subtly come out in other ways, and it's going to eventually cause harm. Yeah. We see it. We see what happens when things are repressed. We see how it brings up issues later on. Likewise, with traditional Advaita is the opposite. What we'll do with traditional Advaita, or the real non-duality, is they will say to you, okay, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling depressed, you got an addiction. What do you need to do? Well, first of all, let's systematically understand that you're not this body and mind, because it's a changing phenomena. But right now, this changing phenomena is something you're identified with. So while you're identified with it, let's just tell you what your real self is, which is this Brahman. But that doesn't mean that we have to ignore what's going on in your relative life, in your life right now. This anxiety, depression, addiction, whatever issues you're going through, that conflict, we still have to deal with. Because if we don't deal with this conflict, you're not going to want to go towards the non-dual state. You're not going to want to go towards, you're not going to want to put effort in your spirituality. And why would you? Because you've got all these issues, these problems. So with the traditional Advaita and traditional non-duality, the real stuff, the real deal, that will say to you, you know what? This is what you need to do. There's meditation practices that you can do that can help you. Yeah. Do some breathing exercises, do some pranayam, do some yoga, go out and serve people in the community, go and um, go to a sangha, meet like-minded people, go to therapy. They will give you certain things to do in order to help your relative and transactional level. And then when you're ready for the deeper truth, when you're ready for that deeper reality, it's going to say, here you go. This is what you can do. This is your practice that you can do. This is the real deal. This Brahman is everything. This is what your true self is. This true self does not change, therefore is not associated to thought or emotion. That's when someone is ready. Yeah. We mentally have to be ready for this truth. Otherwise, how is your mind going to understand that like when people say you're a soul, it's very easy to say such things, but to experience it is the only way you're going to actually benefit. Benefiting from just listening is not going to be enough. It's never enough. There needs to be implementation. There needs to be understanding, contemplation. And that's why, in my opinion, the traditional Advaita is much better because it deals with your relative level of existence and then the ultimate level of existence. And you live in both because, frankly, you're a body and mind. You're not always, not even a sannyasi is living completely in the ultimate level. They still have to think about food. They still have to think about drinking water. They still have to think about going to the running the ashram that they have, or even just sit down and meditate. They still have to do it in the world, yeah, with the body and mind that they currently have, even though they'd be transcending it, but they still need it. So that's the important thing that we have to understand, that nobody escapes this relative level of existence. And although the pseudo non-dualist, when they're pushed to give an answer, they'll acknowledge the relative level of existence. But you'll see, before they finish the answer, they will turn around and say to you, but there is only nothingness. It simply is this. It's apparently happening. So what happens there is you you give the answer of the traditional Advaita, but then they put their own spin on it. Therefore, you do not progress further because you feel that you've got everything you need. You got everything you desire. You got everything that you wanted to know. So it's never enough. But yeah, um, but yes. So for me, if you're on this page, if you're gonna watch this video later, if you're watching now, I will say one thing. It's important that you have the foundational knowledge. Go out and read stuff. Go and read Tattva board, Atma board, all of Adi Shankaraji's works. Go and read other gurus and listen to Swami Sarvapriyananda, listen to Rupert Spira, Greg Good. It doesn't have to be someone Indian, or this is beyond nationality, and therefore you don't have to, because what's going to happen is you're going to have people who are going to, what I've noticed is that people who have been part of this non-dual circle, they start with this pseudo non-duality, this neo-advaita. When they're part of that, they go really negative about non-duality, and it's actually the biggest disservice. But they put some more spirituality, and when non-duality is a proven and tested method, and that is then ignored because someone would rather be an atheist, and rightfully so, because after they've dealt with the pseudo non-dualist, I don't blame them. What is the eventual goal? for that person, but to be negative. Best to have no belief at all. Because fundamentally, that's what Neoadvice is about. You don't really need belief. Because if it's just simply is, you don't even need to believe in that either. The emptiness and hollowness in those words will have tragic consequences. And that's why foundational knowledge is absolutely necessary for non duality. If we really want to excel, we have to understand how does karma work. We have to understand what reincarnation is. We have to understand how this body is formed, how our mind is formed, how our mind develops certain thoughts, certain conditions for itself. So why does it have certain tendencies? Dealing with the karma, not only of the past, but also the near future, and dealing with the karma that we're facing today, ensuring that we don't accumulate more karma. There's so many things you have to do as an Advaitin, as a real non-dualist. So it's not as easy as people think it is. It's not as simple as people think it is in terms of practice. The knowledge itself, the one line, there is a one line for non-duality. You know, anything that is changing, anything that is temporary is not real. Anything that is permanent and unchanging is real. Simple. Nothing more to it. Really easy. But to understand it requires a lot of effort, requires a lot of thought, requires a lot of contemplation. Don't think it's going to be something you get on a whim, so to speak. But yeah, I wanted to raise this because I feel right now it's hard to be the only voice that is dealing with this outright on an everyday level, on a mostly every day. Um, because I feel that it's like we already know they have a network and they're all together on this. So how do we break that network without, like, for example, even though we disagree with them, I don't want the people that follow that stuff to just be in this, just to fall in an abyss. I want them to be, I want them to have something to hold on to, which is why simultaneously we're looking at the foundational texts to help us understand this truth, to help us understand why the knowledge we're giving is solid in non-duality. But yeah, but if anyone has any questions, if you are a non-dualist, sorry, if you're a pseudo non-dualist, I'm happy to have a conversation and we can talk about it. We can go through your questions that you have about the traditional way. I am more than happy to take time to do that. Um, I don't have to always slam you. We can have a discussion and a debate. I'm more than happy for that. But that's if you're ready to. Um, and but the door is open on my end. We just have to arrange a date and time. But I'm more than happy to chat with anyone that's a neo advisor. Um, i- we can arrange a Streamyard time where we can actually converse with each other. You can have your followers also write in the chat and help your arguments. I don't care. I'm happy to have the conversation. I'm happy to have the debate, the discussion. Um, I I'm happy to have questions asked, and I'll have the answers, or I'll find out the answers because I don't claim to know everything, which can um, can a pseudo non-dualist say the same? But when we do have the foundation, the practice becomes even more beautiful. The practice to understanding this union with the one, knowing your true self as the permanent, as the one without change. It allows you to find meaning in your life. It allows you to find fulfillment. Advaita is a completely, it's funny. What may appear to be empty, we say is completely full. We have that level of understanding. This whole uh, universe, in my opinion, is full of Brahman. There's nothing else but Brahman, and that is the truth. And it gives incredible meaning, incredible beauty. It makes you feel blissful. You cannot ignore such a beautiful light. We're using metaphorical language, I understand, but when you see the hidden oneness, the hidden beauty of that oneness, the hidden harmony in that oneness, it's absolutely beautiful. And the thing is, you can allow things to be separate as they are. Each thing can have their individual identity, and that's absolutely fine. Everything else can have a name and form, but is your true self, does that have a name and form? That's the real inquiry, to see whether you do have a name and form. And if you say you do have a name and form, who is it that is aware that you have a name and form? Does that thing that is aware, does that have a name? Does that have a form? And when we do that inquiry, a sincere inquiry, really diving deep to find the answer, we'll find that actually that state is nameless, that state is formless, that state is imageless, it is colorless, it is beyond time and space, it's beyond boundaries, it's beyond our intellect, it's beyond our discernment as well. Because eventually we'll have to transcend our discernment too. We have to transcend our viveka, buddhi, our intellect. And that is the fundamental truth. We say the same thing. The Neo-Advaita and the Advaitins, the end goal is the same. But the method to get there is what's different. And sometimes they say, and I agree with this saying, that, or I'm just making up the saying, but sometimes the journey is a lot more beautiful than the destination. We know what the destination is, but the journey is more beautiful. Imagine if you just bypass the whole journey and get to where you need to. Would that give you fulfillment? Would that make you happy? Would that make you feel peaceful? I don't think so. I know for a fact, and this is true, a lot of times we may be given some knowledge that's on a silver platter, but unless you have the journey behind it, it's not going to mean much. It's not going to matter much. Having the journey just enriches the whole process. And let me know, do you agree with me? You know, is it important to have the foundation? Let me do a poll. Um, Here we go. I hope it's come up. Oh, here we go. But yeah, you can answer the question. Um, Thank you, Martin. Thank you. I find it ironic that these Neoadvitins, they say they're talking about nothing, but just today I saw a cult Theo. He did I think a 4 hour live, a 4 hour live, and he's talking about nothing. Please make me understand this. How can someone who's claiming to talk about just this talk about it for 4 hours? And the thing is, what's crazy is I saw the numbers. I think he didn't have anything less than 70, I think, if I'm right. But it just goes to show that this, like, for example, this guy, Tony Parsons, just in one video where he says, there is no I and nothing ever happens. When we say nothing ever happens, what does that really mean? Nothing ever happens. Well, there is a happening. But then they'll say there's an apparent happening. Even if it's an appearance, it's still a happening. Something is still occurring. Even if you say it's an appearance. For example, a movie that is presented on a blank screen. When the movie ends, it can be played again. Yes, without the screen, it cannot function. Hence, without awareness, it cannot function. This relative reality cannot be, Maya cannot be. But the thing is, there is an apparent happening. That movie may have no, with, we may become only aware that there's a screen when a movie is played. So there is the importance of the movie. Um, but yeah, Theo is a bit of a joke in my opinion. The bright flame doesn't burn long. Yes, and that's true. I mean, the sad thing is, um, he reminds me of Bentino so much, and Ben, as we know, anyone that knows Bentino knows that he's problematic. And thank you for the like, thank you. And anyone, and so when I see Theo, I see Bentino, I remember when I first, my YouTube journey actually was around 10 years ago. I did start then I stopped, and I felt okay. So my journey is interesting. I was kind of getting onto the road of the pseudo non-duality, and then I left. I I then stopped making videos because I felt like I haven't transcended my ego. I'm still egoic. And I was just presenting something which looked spiritual, but I didn't really feel spiritual. I didn't really feel like I had got rid of my ignorance or ego. I still don't feel that way. That hasn't changed. I still don't think I've got rid of my ego. I still don't think I've got rid of my identification with the body mind. Yes, it's less. and less so than 10 years ago. I agree, but I'm not there like where I would love to be. But I have faith that that will happen in my journey. But so, and I remember Bentino, and he wasn't that big back then, 10 years ago. He wasn't big at all. And he didn't have a massive following. He, but now he's massive. But if you look at the stuff that he's saying, it's the same empty stuff. Nothing unique, nothing amazing. I don't, in fact, like his stuff is really weird because he's mixing in with new age stuff and with this arrogance that he has. Um, and I mean, we will do a reaction video on Bentino too. But this is what I mean is that there is people like Theo, they can become a lot bigger than they anticipate. So when they become bigger, they unfortunately it gets to their head. Ego advisor, that's exactly what it is. Um, ego advisor is definitely the word. um, So the whole pseudo non-duality group is an echo chamber. I think it's great. We expose their own hypocrisy and convenient inconsistencies in language. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think it is absolutely necessary for me to do these videos and these live streams where we discuss it together. Where you see it in live, I'm not like, for example, the so there's two ways I was going to do this. Either I was going to do separate reaction videos to it, which like I did for Jim Newman, I did a separate reaction video, and I was then gonna just upload it. But then I was like, no, I actually want to do this live. I want people to see it, that I'm not actually editing anything out. Um, if I mess up during the video, I mess up during the live stream. That's it. There's nothing more I can do about that. But I can show people in real time why I have issues with something, and they can see my real reaction in time. So yeah, but yeah, it is an echo chamber. When all you want to do is talk about the same stuff, um, using the same language, it's quite scary um, that people think that it's okay to do that, and they copy each other's words, copy each other's sentences, copy each other's terminology, copy even the delivery of the message is the same. It's not different. Like every traditional Advaita teacher is different. Like the way Rupert Spira explains things is different to how Swami Silvabrahmananda explains things. Is different to the way I explain things. I'm not on their level, but I talk about these matters. So, but yeah, but we're different. When it comes to um I'm trying to think of any more non-dual teachers, but Francis Lucille, same thing. Like you'll find that they have a different way of delivering the message. Like Rupert and Francis are from the same lineage, and they're so different in their way they express things. There's certain similarities, but they're different, and that's the unique thing because everyone is trying to find a way to make the message more simple and more appropriate for today's time, yet still keeping in line with the tradition. That's where I find the uniqueness is. But with this pseudo non-duality, this neo-advaita thing, is there's no nuance. I can literally probably second guess what they're gonna say next. Is that bad? And not in a good way. When I say I know what they're gonna say next, is because I know their terms. And they use similar terms like spontaneous, apparent, this, simply this. They say silence, but I don't know what they mean by silence, you know? Yeah, it's a great service you do because this video can be a real saver for someone who came across Ego Adviter and is now destabilized. Sorry, I'm laughing at Ego Adviter, but yeah, I mean, that's my aim. Is if I can help one person, that would be that'd be great. That'd be my job done. One person would be enough. Um, Notice there is a few more others who expose them. Check recovering from false non-duality. Yes, and in fact, there's even another guy. I have him to. I think his name's Damien. I, what's his name? I have so on my Patreon I do conversations with the bearded mystic, and I do have him. I do have Michael Damien. That's it, Michael Damien. I'm speaking to him in Saturday the 16th. So yeah, there is quite a few people that are talking about this now, um and obviously we looked at the gentleman from the other day. I forgot. I think his name was Nowhere Meditation or something. But yeah, he's doing good work as well. Um, well, they only say these things. Well, they only say three things over and over in different premium random gibberish whilst believing they have achieved liberation. Yeah, this is the other thing. The fact they think they have attained liberation or moksha is um is really scary as well. Like, to be free, it's not as easy as people think it is. And I think what happens is people um, they kind of intellectually understand, or they're able to conceptualize a thought about freedom or about liberation, and suddenly they think they're free. And that it doesn't work that way. To really be free, to be beyond fear, requires a lot of meditation, a lot of practice, a lot of discussion like this. It requires a lot. Simple, always awake. I think I've heard about this. I think maybe you spoke to me about it. Um, simple. I want to see this. Um, simply. Um, yeah, I think you mentioned it. I remember. Oh yeah, I've not seen him before, but I'm gonna subscribe. Um, oh yes, I have seen him. Oh, he's got some interesting stuff. Oh, what he thinks about Eckhart Tolle. That would be interesting to watch. Nice. Nice stuff. So yeah, let me see. Yeah. Um it's interesting to see how so I'll have a look at this. Simply always awake. It's always good to also know what other people who are on the same kind of understanding, how they contemplate upon these messages, how they speak on these matters, and um, which is really good, really important. Um, hmm. So, well, tomorrow's gonna be an interesting conscious circle channel. Let's have a look at that. I always like stuff like that. Conscious circle. It's an interesting name. Also, if you know about, oh, it's like Ramana Maharishi. Oh, okay, interesting. Oh, I'll subscribe to that. I know that Tom Das does stuff as well. He's pretty good, Tom Das. Um, um, so Tom Das, he when he used to start his sessions, he used to do them in Kingston. I used to live in Kingston upon Thames in England, and he used to do sessions there. I never got to attend them, but it used to be above a pub, in a pub, which is kind of cool, um, kind of nice that he did that stuff. Um, but yeah, interesting, interesting stuff. Um, so Ramana Maharishi is good. Anything with Ramana Maharishi is good. I really like Ramana Maharishi. He's just so full of so much wisdom. Yeah, so I love Ramana. So, and the other thing is, I'm trying to work out dates um to meet Suma. Suma Gowda. She has I think I forgot her name, but she's done interviews with Rupert, and I think even Jim Newman, and I think even with Tony Parsons, she's done an interview with. And she looked at my page and she was quite interested in how I've termed things. So I'm trying to find out whether I'm available for some of the dates that she's given to speak on such matters. So she was rather intrigued by my take on Sadhguru, um, who I think who I don't really think much of, but that's my own opinion. And then I should be on Apostate Aladdin's live maybe on Wednesday. So to talk about Hinduism and, well, non-duality, Advaita, and what it's about, because we kind of I really like the stuff that he's doing about his critique on Islam, which is really interesting. I think people like him give, and he's more calm, so I like that. Oh, um, so I didn't see this, but there's actually a video by Theo where he says simply sitting and beyond plus ayahuasca. Well, but I haven't got time to go through 2 hours and a half of his drivel to just look at that stuff. But yeah, I really do like Simply Always Awake. His thumbnails are pretty cool. I like it. I like it. And yesterday I did see um please don't. Yeah, I don't want to. I won't be going through the 2 hours of that nonsense. But yesterday I did watch Anna Brown's new video that she put up yesterday. I think yesterday or the day before. Something really triggered her. That's for sure. Something triggered her because now I see her in a different light. Now I see that she's passive aggressive. Theo plus ayahuasca ego advisor. That's literally it. It's so interesting how someone can think they can get rid of the ego by simply just thinking it's not there. And what they don't understand is how the subtle ego gets, as subtle ego grows. And um, yeah, they don't understand how it grows. Like, and because they're not addressing the ego because they think they got rid of it, the ego just simply grows and grows and it's there lurking. And one day it's going to attack. And when it attacks, it's going to come in a different form. It's not going to come out, it's going to, it can come out in subtle ways that people will see it and they'll understand that you're not genuine. So it'll grow. Yeah, Anna is boiling inside. Yeah, she is. I felt that. Um, and I was surprised because remember, I kind of liked her in the first few minutes of her videos, and then she turned out to be something else. The mind can mock liberation. That's why it can be tricky, and you really have to be completely authentic to yourself. This is very important point, actually, Martin. I totally agree. Being authentic is such a big thing in spirituality. And actually, I would say that you need authentic Advaita. You need to have that authentic Advaita understanding. Without that, there you will not grow. You have to be really honest with your spirituality. Like, where are you? What more work do you need to do? Have you really got there? Is it just simply so easy as just conceptually understanding? Put yourself in, uh, as I say, put yourself in harm's way, meaning get people to test your ego. When somebody praises you, do you get happy with that praise? If somebody criticizes you, do you get upset with that criticism? Maybe, yeah, you will feel happy with praise initially and you will feel upset by criticism. But then are you able to transcend it afterwards? Are you able to let it go afterwards? Or does it still linger on? Does it still leave its fragrance and therefore you're constantly contemplating upon that criticism or that praise? You know, it's being honest in your spirituality is number one. Where are we really? Do and even after meditation, one has to let go of that experience because sometimes we can have an amazing meditation, yeah, but you're connected to everything. You feel one with everything. Yeah, you have the best thing. You're feeling that extreme level of happiness. Hey, Dimitri. And then what will happen? You go to the grocery store, you pick up a bag of apples or a box of strawberries, you get home and you realize that that box of strawberries has one moldy strawberry in there and you didn't see it at the grocery store, but you see it when you get home. And you don't want to go all the way back to the grocery store because it's one, the gas is probably too much, the petrol price is too much just to go there, and then second of all, it's going to waste more time. Does your blissful state disappear in that moment, or does it stay? Does it stay? Do you remain blissful? Probably not. You probably will be annoyed. Is it okay to be annoyed? Yes, it is. But is it okay to remain annoyed? No, it isn't. And that's the difference with Advaita and Neo-Advaita. Neo-Advaita will say, well, there is no strawberry, so, and there is no mold, there is no journey, therefore nothing has really happened. Got over the thing. But with traditional Advaita, it's the opposite. Your natural state is bliss. You come back home, you realized that one strawberry is moldy and it's annoying. And then there's no patient on Zoom. You come home, you feel annoyed for a second, and then you go back to the blissful state because you're like, you know what? It doesn't matter. If it's moldy, it's moldy. There's nothing more I can do about it. Yeah, I can't disturb my own peace. There is a process. You use your discernment, you use your buddhi, you use your vivek. That's the whole point. You realize that actually the strawberry's meant to go moldy because its nature is to change. Yeah, that's how simple it is. That's the real simplicity. And it's not bypassing because you're addressing the issue. So therefore, you're like, okay, it's a moldy strawberry, can't do anything about it. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to go back to my natural state, which is blissfulness. Once I am blissful, I'm happy. You've dealt with the situation. But if it's Neo-Advaita or pseudo non-duality, you just don't, you just simply ignore it. But the moldy strawberry is still there. Yeah. You can't just keep it in there or eat it. You have to throw it away. And, yes, it is. But so, for example, they will say, well, it is. It's moldy. It is. Yeah, we know that. Yoda. What's next? Like, Martin, you mentioned, like, when they say there's nothing ever happened, nothing is, yet they utilize Patreon and Zoom. Same thing. Like, why hold those meetings? If nobody gets it, meaning nobody gets the message, why perform on a platform so people will get the message? I'm just now thinking common sense. I'm not addressing anything else other than the common sense. And if your spirituality has no common sense, is it really spirituality? Is it really? Is spirituality about is it about showing off to feel superior? Is that what spirituality is? For me, it's the exact opposite. Not to feel inferior or to not show off. For me, it's spirituality is about the real assessment. We talked about it earlier. Authenticity, the honesty required. Without that, I don't know. For me, spirituality without the honesty and authenticity, the realness, the relativity, the transactional, the exchange, without that, it's rather bland. And there's a beauty in approaching Nirgun Brahman and getting to that understanding. There's a beauty of addressing Ishvara, the Devis and Devtas. There's a beauty in it. There's a beauty of that whole pantheon. It's like it's nice to have standalone movies. You know, you get Marvel and DC, they have their standalone movies. But you know, when they all come together like Justice League or Avengers, there's so much beauty in that. The characters are still individual, but there is beauty when it's all an ensemble when they're together. The same thing with Advaita Vedanta. Yes, we know there's only Nirgun Brahman. The standalone is amazing. It's more than you need. That's all you need. But to have Ishvara, the Devis, Devtas, the um, or the Devas, the different elements, the whole transactional universe, that is beautiful in itself. That is phenomenal in itself. And that adds so much. It's not necessary. You don't need to have all that. Nirgun Brahman is more than enough. But there's a certain beauty in seeing the wholeness of the picture. Even though you don't, although you know the painter behind the picture, behind the painting, the artist behind the picture, but there's still value in the picture, there's still value in the painting. And that's what I think. Now let's continue. And private calls for $150 an hour. Imagine listening to Theo and the Ego Advisor for 1 hour. Oh, I don't want to. It'd be really difficult for me. But $150, that's a lot of money. A lot of money. A lot of money just to listen to that. That's what you're listening to. Um, they're like the conspiracy theorists who revel in having the secret knowledge that no one else has. That the Neoadvitins are basically cult leaders. Yo, boom! They are cult leaders. They are cult. It is a cult. It's a massive network of cults, not just one cult, and a whole network of them. A complete, and not only just a network. It's an established running machine. It's I mean, this is no conspiracy theory. They kind of like the conservative element in America today. They've systematically made sure that whether their beliefs are right or wrong is that's not what I'm discussing. But they've made sure that whatever they want to happen, it has happened. They have a network that has supported that. They have a system that supports that. Same thing with Neoadvice. I'm not saying that they're like the conservatives or the Republican Party. I'm not saying that, but they literally are like that. They're well organized. Um, but what they don't understand, the traditional Advaita movement is also very well organized. And if there's one thing, I'm more than happy to chat to other people and bring in that community and make sure that we support each other in our endeavors. But yeah, it's what happens when you're not truly authentic. Your awareness isn't developed enough and mind hijacks spirituality to assert itself in the new domain that you are exploring is to do it. Absolutely, Martin. I totally agree with you. Um, yeah, but when see to live in the awareness that they talk about 24/7, it's impossible. Impossible. I, I once had a conversation with somebody about dharma and politics, and I said my view is very unpopular. If you're not liberal, I don't understand how you can have Sanatana Dharma as your faith, because it's completely liberal at the foundation. One of the first principles is everyone is a universal family. You see everyone as your own. So I'm not allowed to see black and white and separate people accordingly. No, I've got to see everyone beyond the skin, beyond the color of the skin, beyond their gender, beyond their names even. I'm meant to find that everyone is my family. Yeah, obviously, there's certain family dynamics that you can't change, like for example, your blood relations. But what I'm talking about is something in terms of a, a, a common principle. So so you always will find that you're on the when you look at people like what Sri Krishna taught and what the rishis really thought about, they're very, very liberal in their way of thinking. It's so close to, I mean, so Sami Vada, who's sometimes he comes on the live. He's also I have my conversations with the bearded mystic with him on Monday. We were meant to film it yesterday, but I had to postpone it till Monday. But one thing I'm interested in chatting to him about is how socialism is linked with Dharma. I want to know. I want to know why it's linked, um, and how it's linked. And he has a great way of explaining it, great way of and me understanding it too. But yeah, I think, like for example, I've seen what's interesting. I've seen people give religious reasons why. For example, yesterday we've seen the Supreme Court, and that well, I forgot what they called it now, but their declaration about Roe v. Wade. And for me, as a spiritual person, I find that to be the most horrendous thing ever. Like, how can a bunch of how can 5 people decide what should happen in the whole country, and that based on nothing but ideology? It's got nothing to do with anything else other than their own political motives. How would I, coming from Sanatana Dharma, see this ruling that they've given? Yeah, I'm pissed off. I'm annoyed because you're taking away the rights for a woman to choose what to do. Men who are not going to carry the baby for 9 months, the men who can just leave whenever they want, but it's the woman that has to pick up the bill, support the baby, look after the baby. In fact, those very conservatives will not look after the child once it's born. I know this is getting political, I know, but it's not based on dharma. You can't let that happen. In fact, you're putting that child in more harm's way than anything. So, and also, by the way, Jesus has said nothing about abortion. So this is their made up shit. But I've seen people support that and say, well, on a spiritual level, that means the Jiva Atma is not born. And then they're right on that level. Like, I get it. But at the end of the day, do you think that that Jiva Atma is going to be born in a happy place where they're going to want to know themselves, where they will want to know the truth, that they will want to know Brahman, that they want to know that they're the Atma? Probably not. They're probably going to be growing up in a place of poverty where they'd be thinking about getting the next meal, where they'd be thinking about whether they're gonna um we don't know what type of home they're gonna be living in. We don't know what circumstances they're gonna be living in. There's a lot of things. And I think if people really thought about what they were saying on Twitter or TikTok or Instagram, we wouldn't we would have a much better society. And this is the same thing with the Neoadvice scene, is that there's no thought being given to what is being said. When we heard them talk about the anxiety issues, the mental health issues, how the depression, the issues with depression, the way they ignored it and bypassed it is horrendous. We even said it was disgusting. And that's what happens when we do not have a real dialogue, when we don't really think about what we're saying or thinking, when we don't put that to the test, when we're in that echo chamber where we don't give each other the freedom to express. Like, for example, my aim is not to shut down Occult Theo's channel. I don't care. He can continue on. But what he can't continue on is spreading his stuff without me having a voice about it. That's what he can't do. And that's what needs to happen. We need to hold ourselves all accountable. Like, they should be able to hold me accountable, yeah? They should hold me accountable. They should put whatever I say to the test. I'm happy with that. They do. My reaction video to Jim Newman has had numerous opinions from them. A lot of it, I don't understand what they mean, but half the comments are just saying the same thing that they just say, the usual spiel. But yeah, you mentioned, Martin, how their comments are almost uniformly disabled on all their channels. And that, yeah, precisely it. I mean, there's a reason why I don't disable my comments, is because you're allowed to have your voice. You're allowed to have your opinion. You're allowed to disagree or agree. And I have the right to address whatever your comment is. That's the point. It's a violation of the rights of Hindus, Muslims, Jews, and indigenous people. Completely, the matter of abortion is completely a violation of our rights. Um, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man, I'm annoyed too. Poland is also pretty bad. It's like stepping back a century ago. Yeah, it is. Um, and this is the thing. Our spirituality requires that we have certain ethics. I've talked about this. Certain ethics we need to have, certain basic things. If you do not see everyone as the same as yourself and you claim you're an Advaitin, get out. I don't believe a word you say. That's why I don't like the Modi government, because it's all talk. You can claim you're a Hindu, but are you really? For example, I think India did the right thing of being a secular country. It was to show equality, that it doesn't matter whether there's only Hindus or whether there's only Sikhs or whether there's only Buddhists or whatever. It doesn't matter what is the most popular religion, but the law of the land will be secular. The law of the land will be equal to all. Yes, it's hard where we may turn people may turn around and say, well, why do they have laws for the minorities? Well, you kind of need to. It's interesting because the people here, like in the UK or of the South Asian diaspora, like myself, we can will condemn the country in the West if they do not have rights or minorities, but we don't want other religions or other people to have um, minority laws in India. It's so weird. It's so strange. Um, Abortion is up to the states as it should be. No, not really. Um, it's not up to the states, and it shouldn't be up to the states. It should be a federal basic right that everyone is that a woman is allowed to decide what she wants to do with her body. You may not like that. You may think a state should decide that, but do you think that every woman in that state should have their governor or their state assembly decide what they should do with their body? No. In that case, do you think it's right that um, after a certain age or a certain amount of children, that a man should have a vasectomy then? Because the state should decide that. The state should actually put that into place. Why is it that we um and yeah, I totally agree with you, Jim Arthur, that an abortion is up to the states, but no gun regulations. It is full of shit. It's absolute crap. How the Supreme Court can come up with that and think that that's okay. And this is the thing, right? Gun regulations, we're not going to put that in check because they're scared of people for whatever reason, but it's actually killing people. It's actually killing children that are alive right now that didn't get aborted. So what's the point? Where's the logic? Where's the rationale? No, there's a reason why we are the United States of America or the United Kingdom or the European Union. There's a reason why it's India as a whole country of different states. There's a reason why we have national laws because they have to be basic human rights, should be federal. They should be federal. They should be on a national level. It shouldn't be based on states. And this is something I'm saying it from a spiritual perspective as well, that certain rights should be blanket everywhere. Um, the American right is a death cult. It is because it's not only a death cult, but like it's a cult that wants poverty. Like it's systematically wanting poverty. It's systematically wanting inequality. There's a very wonderful uh, I suggest that people check this out. There's a lady called Jane Elliott. She's an amazing speaker on the issues of race, and everything is race motivated. Everything is race motivated. She has given some amazing talks. She's put people in their place, uh, and it's do check. There's some videos on YouTube. I've seen her on TikTok. Like her videos up on TikTok. I don't know if she's alive or not now. But she gave a really interesting talk on why um the Republican Party doesn't want people to have rights to abortion. There's a reason why. The gun maker lobbying, it's profitable. The system is rotten in its foundations. Exactly. Just like Neoadvice is rotten in its foundations too, because there's no foundation. Same thing with the gun lobbying. There's no foundation for it. In my opinion, there's no reason why I should have a gun. I'm sorry. There's no reason why. And if you're going to say Um, if you're gonna say it's because we got to go against the tyranny of government, then maybe so. Then, if I'm understanding correctly, right now the Supreme Court, well, certain members of the Supreme Court, what they're presenting is tyranny. So therefore, is it right for people to go to their houses with guns? I don't think so. I actually would condemn that. But according to them, it's fine. Their ruling, not mine. That's what they find. No, I think I always will believe in peaceful protest. I will always believe that things can be done in a non-violent way. But yeah, um, but there's a reason why I've mentioned this political thing, is because for me, being spiritual has one thing in common, and that's having humanity and basic ethics as your foundation. You cannot get rid of ignorance if you have ignorance within. You cannot say you are for equality, that you care about humanity, and then be okay with voting for someone that openly speaks against certain countries, certain religions, certain um when I say religions, not because they're not talking about debating the philosophy. They're just talking because they belong to a particular religion, the name of the particular religion. For me, if you can vote for someone that holds those views, no, doesn't work with me. That doesn't fly with me. You can't turn around to me and say you care about unconditional love, loving everyone, seeing everyone as your family. In my opinion, that's bull crap. That's that's being two faced. That's being called hypocrisy. You know, a lot of people. I sometimes get asked from some parents that why isn't my child spiritual? Why aren't they connecting? The reason why they're not connecting is because you're a hypocrite. My child will be the same way when I have children. They'll see me the same way. If I say one thing and I'm doing another, they're going to say you're a hypocrite. You talk about loving everyone, yet you just voted for someone that doesn't love everyone. That's openly talking about hating others, about harming others. That's actually talking about creating a wall between two nations. They're not. They're gonna call you out, and they're not. They're gonna see. They won't see your voting as wrong. They'll say, "Well, your spirituality is wrong because it's not actually. Must be something wrong with your spirituality." That's what how they're gonna see it. Weapons, however beautiful, are instruments of ill omen, hateful to all creatures. Therefore, he who has Tao will have nothing to do with them. Absolutely true. Lao Tzu, that's very beautiful. Absolutely true. And some people may use the Bhagavad Gita as an example and say, well, that perpetuates violence. Um, yeah, if you actually look at the Mahabharata, there's a whole big sermon on non-violence. And I've mentioned this in my podcast. The violence only occurred when that was no other option. But everything else was used. Diplomacy was used. Um, you know, intervention of all levels was utilized. Negotiations were had. So I totally do agree. So when we talk about is foundational knowledge necessary for non-duality, I would even say just basic level humanity and ethics is required also, because non-duality means seeing oneness. How can I claim to see? This is why I was totally against. You see loads of these new agers, they talk about oneness, yet they vote for Trump. They talked about oneness, yet they were happy with people getting COVID. They didn't see COVID as a real threat. You still don't. For me, that doesn't vibe. I don't vibe with that. You can't claim to believe in oneness and do that stuff. You can't believe in oneness and then talk ill of the Black Lives Matter movement. So the Black Lives movement, being against that. You see the hypocrisy. And for me, I make it very clear. If you're going to be a hypocrite, I don't want you on my channel. I don't want you subscribed to me. There's no need to, because I want real change. I want real stuff. Because I really do believe that there's a reason why. Like, I really loved Russell Brand. I had to unsubscribe from him. And that pained me because I admired the guy. He said to me that spirituality will bring real change. But because of his views and the things that he continues to bring out, I'm like, no, I can't subscribe to you. I'm not going to ignore what you say. I acknowledge that you say that. You're entitled to your views. I'm not going to, but I don't want to entertain it. I already hear enough of that. It's not like I don't listen to what the other side has to say. I do. In fact, unfortunately, if you're a liberal, you can't ignore what the other side says because they're always in your face. But I've had to do those things. I, 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 I have to acknowledge what the other opposite side is saying and say, well, that's what they're saying, and I have to listen to it. But that doesn't mean I have to accept it. It doesn't mean that it has to become my worldview. No, I can turn around and utilize my own discernment to say, you know what, it's bullshit. I ain't going for that. If I truly believe in oneness, then I know that when there's a public health crisis, I'm going to be on the side of the public health and whatever they say. Whether someone wants to take the vaccine or not is their personal choice, but I'm going to advocate for it because it's a public health crisis. I see the unity in everything. I see how coronavirus itself has unity. When it comes to infecting people, it's just everyone the same. The same thing when my black brother and sisters are put in harm's way, when they're killed without any mercy, when they're killed with complete hatred, I will stand up for them. And I don't educate, or sorry, no, I do not advocate for all lives matters when that is not the matter at hand. The fact that a young kid can hold a gun and go and shoot people because he believes people are going to harm him and he's doing it in self-defense. I'm sorry, I want to see that kid go to jail. I'm sorry. I don't care if it's a kid. The fact that his mind has been sabotaged, it's been manipulated to think that people of a different color are going to harm him. Yeah. referring to the hypocrisy of some New Agers proclaiming one thing while their actions are not in alignment. That is dissonance. It is cognitive dissonance. I absolutely agree. So, when we talk about foundational knowledge necessary for non duality, yes, if you don't have that foundation of oneness, foundation of humanity, foundation of ethics, without that, there is no non duality. You cannot see it. You cannot say that you see everyone the same as you and then have clear views of division. Just doesn't work. I had this conversation with someone. I'll wrap up in a minute or two because I have to go to an event soon. I have to leave. Um, but I'm probably the one, I love to say this, and I say it proudly, that I'm the one South Asian that does not mind paying taxes. Like, I actually see the value in it. Yeah, it hurts me when I see so much money is taken out. And yeah, it does kind of like pinch at me. But at the same time, I see the value in paying taxes. I see that that's for me, as I explained to someone once, the tax man is the deva. I'm giving a sacred offering to the state, to the federal government, so it can look after people who don't have the same luxury that I have, with the hope that the money that they give will inspire someone to do the same. And that's what you do. You just and the beauty about taxes is that actually once you give it, you forget about it. It's perfect for karma yoga. Perfect. So yeah. So I'm gonna end it there. It became political towards the end, but I think a lot has happened in the past week, um, where we just have to. And I think Martin, you beautifully brought it out with the importance of being authentic and being honest. I feel that is the need of the day, and if spirituality has any chance in entering the hearts of humanity as a whole, it needs authenticity as its number one. It needs honesty as its number one. So without that, um, for me, spirituality has no value. I would happily be an atheist, and if it means that I keep with my authenticity and honesty, but I found a way to be spiritual, to believe in Advaita Vedanta, to be in that faith and have my authenticity and have my honesty, keeping truth as my number one principle, having being honest about where I am and where I need to improve. I feel I can fit that in, and that's why I believe in Advaita Vedanta, and that's why I believe in non-duality. Um, so yes, I'm glad that um, I have found you and that you support this. This we're all together. We're all together on this. We're all. I love what Ram Dass says that we're all walking each other home. We're 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 together here, and we're gonna grow. This community is gonna grow. It's inevitable as long as we maintain and we keep each other in check with our authenticity, our honesty, and our truthfulness. We will grow organically, beautifully, and mainly with unity. And that's the aim. Um, and there's not just me, I'm not the lone voice. There's so many of us that are together on this. So I hope that we all encourage each other, and we encourage those communities to grow as well, and we help them grow, um, and we do that selflessly. That's the aim. So yeah, but yeah, I better go. I better get ready. But it's really nice chatting with you all. I'm glad that I was able to take an hour and 30 minutes to be in Sangha with you, to be in satsang with you, and I just pray that this world, whatever is going on across the globe, that peace prevails, good senses prevail, and anyone that claims to be spiritual, that they find authenticity to be their driving force. And but yeah, okay. Good night, everyone. Take care. Have a good evening, and I shall see you soon. See you next week. Okay. Take care. Bye. Love you all.